Hey everybody, 8-Bit Josh here, and welcome to another Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Complete Edition Beginner's Guide for the Nintendo Switch. This is a continuation of the last Beginner's Guide I did, but with a few additional tips I wanted to add, plus answering some questions from the last video. So here we go. This first one isn't so much of a tip as it is just something I wanted to point out. In the original version of the game, as well as the PC version of the Complete Edition, you can drag your mouse to place a large pool area, the same as you would as an animal enclosure, which I went over in the last video. However, the Switch version, it seems like this isn't possible. I haven't verified if this is a bug or if it's intentional, but I have reached out to Frontier to get some more info on that. But I know it confused me, and I'm sure it's probably confused you guys, so I just wanted to cover that like right at the start, that at the moment it doesn't seem possible to drag pool tiles, so just wanted to make sure you guys knew. This is pretty easy, but one that isn't super obvious if you don't know about it. Any sign can be used as a no entry sign, and this is a great way to control where your guests are walking. Maybe you have a path coming out of the exit of a ride and there isn't anything else in the area for guests to do, so you don't want the guests to just aimlessly walk up that path and make it really crowded. Put a no entry sign at the front part of your path. This way, the only guests on that path will be the ones coming off of the ride. This is a question I actually had from the last video, and I wanted to cover that here. And it's about rotating objects. So I wanted to clarify that once you place an object, you can no longer rotate it, unfortunately. It's kind of annoying. It's always been that way. So if you place an object and you want to rotate it, just delete the object and place it again in the direction you want. Luckily, you get 100% of the cost back when deleting it, so you shouldn't have to worry about money too much and constantly like buying objects multiple times. If you notice certain areas of your park are being vandalized more than others, you likely have lots of litter in the area or even vomit on the ground. Guests are more likely to vandalize your park in high litter areas, or if there's lots of vomit on the ground. To try and prevent this, make sure you have plenty of trash bins for guests to throw away their trash, as well as janitors to cover the area to sweep up any vomit. When it comes to research, you can actually adjust how much you want to put into each different types of research available in the game. To adjust this, hit A on the one you want to change and use the left and right buttons on the D-pad to move the sliders back and forth. You can use the right stick as well, but I just find that the D-pad is easier. You also use this to move up and down on your list. Just remember you have to select each research item by hitting A. In the last video, I showed you how you can make elevated pathways, but I left out how you can make stairs coming from an existing path. So to do that, just select your path, hover over until you see the little arrow, and then, as with anything else, hold down Y and use the left stick up or down. At this point, you can just hit Y to place the object, just like that. If you want to level out the path, hold down Y, move it down one more, and it's just that simple. The terrain tool is actually pretty versatile and have lots of options available to you. You can hold down Y and move the left stick up and down just as you would with anything else. If you hold down the left button and right stick, you can actually change the size of your grid. If you go down to a single grid size, you can actually adjust it even further. You could do half of a grid. You could adjust the full grid, or you could do a quarter of it by doing each corner. So it allows for really nice flexibility. This is particularly useful if you're building a roller coaster and you need to adjust the terrain to either create tunnels, or if you just want to dig out the terrain underneath the track. It's actually a pretty flexible tool. It should be worth noting that in certain scenarios, you actually don't have the option to edit the terrain. So just keep this in mind when you're designing coasters or your park layout in general. Park awards are not just a passive accomplishment for your park, they can have a positive and negative effect on your park. Awards such as Most Beautiful Park and Safest Park will attract more guests to your park and thus bring in more money. However, awards such as Worst Value and Untidiest Park will keep guests away and you'll find yourself having a harder time making money. So there you go, just a few more tips to help get you started with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Complete Edition for the Nintendo Switch. I hope you found them helpful. If there are any tips I missed, or if you have any you'd like to see me cover, leave a comment below, as well as any suggestions and feedback you may have. So with that, I am 8-Bit Josh, and thanks for watching. See ya!